Hi everyone and welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the EVE Online markets. I'm your host, delonewolf, and it's been quite a week last week. First of all, we had that amazing fight with over 3,000 people, the biggest fight ever in EVE Online. After that, we also have Kill 2 is going to work for CCP, so that's some pretty good news for people that like smaller scale PvP, because that's what he likes most, and hopefully he'll be able to help in balancing the ships that way. I don't know if you've been following some of the going-ons in the EVE Online Reddit, reddit.com/r/EVE, but all these events, especially the major fight, has sparked quite a lot of interest in EVE Online. The Reddit was also the Reddit of the day for one day, and so I do think that quite a lot of new people are going to give EVE Online a try thanks to that. So it does show that that the stories created by the players are a major driver in the game, and yeah, that's very good news for EVE in my opinion. That fight came at a very nice time when a lot of people were starting to think that 0-0 was at a complete stalemate, and let's hope we'll see more of them. But we are here for the markets, and as usual we'll start out with titanium, the cheapest of all the minerals, which is now at, let's have a quick look, in station 597 for the sellers, 591 for the buyers. Pretty much the same as last week. As you can see, very flat around 6 ISK. Moving on to pyrite, that one is still on the rise. On the 1 year chart you can see it goes from just above 5 ISK heading towards 15 ISK. That's pretty amazing on a 1 year chart, and even here at the tail end you can see that pyrite is rising. Price is 1484 for the sellers and 1475 for the buyers in station. So yeah, if you can mine some scordite, if you're a miner in high sec, that's probably the ore you want to go for. I have to say in Iona, not that much scordite to be had, quite a lot more plagioclase and felspar can be had. Obviously scordite is what you want at the moment if you can mine to take advantage of these rising pyrite prices. Let's have a look at Mexalon, which continues to drop and heads back basically to the price it's been at the beginning of a year ago, towards 50 ISK. Let's have a quick look at the prices. Yep, it's gonna be 51.30 for the sellers, 27 for the buyers. So that's actually 1 ISK difference. Now you would say that that's not a lot, but on just 50 ISK that's actually pretty decent, and in my opinion is an indication that Mexalon might still go down even more. Pretty damn interesting to see Mexalon back at around 50 ISK, where it's hit around 64 at some time. So that's actually a decent pullback for Mexalon. We'll have a quick look at some of the other ones as well. Isogen, on a 1 year actually it's gone from 70, 75 to 150, so that's also doubling on a year, although after the expansion it's known as small correction in Isogen. What about Zydrine? 800 to 800, so that's pretty stable overall over a 1 year period, I should say, with an enormous spike. This is probably market manipulation or some unexpected consequences of some of the announced changes. If I'm not mistaken, that's around last year's summer expansion, so it could be because of the drone loot changes last year that this major spike is here. But overall Zydrine on a 1 year period pretty stable around just below 800. What are the other ones? Megasite, you see that same spike in the rare minerals, the 0-0 minerals, but that one's gone down over the year, amazingly enough. And Noxium, same spike once again, and actually going from around 500 ISK to 800 ISK on a 1 year period, although since the expansion pretty flat, I should say, for Noxium, hanging at around, how much are the prices here in Jita? 773 for the sellers, 768 for the buyers. So as you can see, that's just a 5 ISK margin on a 700 ISK price. That's really no margin at all. So minerals, pretty interesting, especially at the moment. Obviously that pyrite chart is pretty interesting for sellers and for miners. Scordite is what you want to go after, although to be fair, in plagioclase, which yields a lot of mexalon, you do also get some pyrite, so don't completely count that out. But the good scordite rocks are really what you want to prioritize at the moment. Let's have a look at the impact on Tech 1 chips. First of all, the Drake. It's known a correction, but seems to be holding on once again just below 50 million or around 50 million. Yeah, in station 51 million and the buyers 49 million. So sellers just above 50 and buyers just below 50. 2 million ISK margin, that's not a lot on 50 million. Let's have a look at a larger ship like the Maelstrom. 204 for the buyers, 208, 209 for the sellers. Let's have a look at price history. Pretty flat, although you can see a very small correction as well after the expansion. But you can also see in the Drake here as well the run up towards the expansion and then a correction after it. And on the Maelstrom it's less pronounced, but you can also see it, a run up in November towards December, and then a small correction after a small flat period. So that just seems to be speculation towards the expansion, and then now a very small correction. So overall maybe activity has increased a little bit, but yeah, Tech 1 chips stable and slowly coming back from a high around the expansion. Moving on to Tech 2 ships, let's have a look at what the Guardian is doing. Still pretty bad chart. Let's have a look at the 3-month chart. At least the 5-day moving average is moving up and down a little bit, although prices are pretty stable. I would say 127, 128 million. You get a little bit of variation in the 5-day moving average, but still not a lot. So that's pretty surprising that the Guardian is being so stable. Let's have a look. Oh, I was going to go for market data. 125 for the buyers, 129 for the sellers. That's just a 4 million ISK margin, even less than when it was last week. As always, I'll take a quick look at the other logistics. Let's have a look at the margin in between the sellers and the buyers for the Basilisk. 116 for 122, 6 million ISK margin, that's still not a lot. The Olneros 133, 153. Yep, 20 million ISK margin here on the Olneros, but as you can see, not a lot of sellers there. So the Olneros is the smallest market of the logistics cruisers, Tech 2 logistics cruisers, and then the Scimitar 126, 130. That's again 4 million, 3.5 million. That's not a lot. Once again, yeah, if you have some trading money, maybe try and do something with the Olneroses. In it 20 million ISK margin, you can definitely gain some profits if you're content with 10 to 15 million. I think you can get some buying and some selling done, although you have to remember that it's the smallest market. I may have to try and find another Tech 2 ship market that might be interesting at the moment, because really the logistics markets are a lot more stable than they were last year. As you can see, last year you have quite a lot of ups and downs, but this year quite a lot more flat. So at least since the expansion, and it might not really be the market that it once was, and maybe it's moved to another one. All of that speculation. I'll look into it and I'll see if I can find something for next week. Moving on to the Tech 3 market, melted nano ribbon still holding on, hovering around that 5.5 million ISK price point. Yeah, 5.52 for the sellers, 5.34 for the buyers. So pretty stable there actually. Let's have a look at some of the ships. The Loki also pretty stable, just around, below 200 million. And let's have a look at the Tengu, see if that one has been able to hold its descent. Well, no, still heading towards 180 million for the Tengu, so that's not very good news. In fact, it's below 180 million for the sellers, 172 for the buyers, and that's just one. Those buy prices go from 172, 171, 500, 170, 164. 164 is really the first buy order with any decent quantity of just 15 ships. So yeah, Tengu market crashing continuously over a 1 year period. Unfortunately, if you have Tengus, that value has devalued by quite a lot, coming from 280 million at one point back down to 180. That's not a lot anymore. So yeah, Tengu seems to be losing its popularity quite a lot. Finally, I think anything else? Yeah, I'll have a quick look once again at Technetium, but as expected, that's not moving at all. And same with Gallente fuel blocks, that's just hovering around that 13k price point. Those won't change until we hear something drastic going on. So let's move on to the Plex. Big spike, obviously. Before the expansion, we have experienced that with prices above 600 and even a data point at around 650 million. Then it's been pretty stable towards the expansion, but the descent has been set in. If I'm not mistaken, we had buy orders at 536 last week. So let's have a look at the market data for this week. 545 for the sellers, that's down a bit, and 535, 725. So that's even a bit below what it was last week. I'd say a million lower once again. Pretty interesting. We'll see what the new bottom has become. In fact, I do have money for another Plex now, I think. So I'll have to see if I want to buy my next one at this time, at least with a buy order of 536, 537, something like that. You should be able to pick one up. And that should be a half decent price, because even now you have a 12 million ISK margin. Yeah, we do expect, of course, Plexes to rise again at some point later in the year. And the 535, those are more reasonable prices, I think. People that fund their accounts with Plex, I think, should be pretty happy with this current pullback. I mean, these are doable prices, in my opinion. Yeah, in my opinion, also, if you can start your buying of Plex slowly, I don't think you'll regret that investment at this point. I could be completely wrong as well, of course. CCP could do something crazy, but I don't really think so. And 535, although it's 535, 700, those are very doable prices compared to what we had before the expansion. Although the lowering is not going like a train, you know, it's very slow and gradual. 1 million over 1 week, it's not completely insignificant, but of course on a 500 million price, that's what would that be? Not even 1%, you know, that's maybe 0.2%, something like that. But it's still slowly lowering. So I would say that might indicate that in general activity in the game is holding up, although it's yeah, the question is going to be, are these slow? Is the slow descent of Plex prices due to increased supply, or due to slowly lowering demand because we're starting to lose people after the first few months after the expansion, because well, they've basically seen all the new stuff, and they're starting to look forward to the next expansion, and maybe some of them are slowly cutting back on their EVE time and on their EVE accounts as well. But still, yeah, still going pretty strong. And but I was wrong on the bottom of 550 million, definitely. I mean, we're seeing price of 535 now, 536 last week. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes, but personally, I do see this as a buying opportunity. Anyways, that's it for this week, and I'll see you all next time.